Okay, perfect. Let me just quickly confirm. And all right, perfect. So guys, we are live. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. So today we have Fetch.ai team with us. We have Humayun, Maria, Jonathan, Toby with us from the Fetch team. And welcome to the On the Block series. It is the series wherein we try to simplify blockchain projects to the audience, to the Indian audience, and to the global audience in a very simplified way. Because as we all know, that blockchain is a very technological, very complex project. Very complex industry when we look at it. So we try to simplify it as simple and make it as simple as possible for the layman people, for the normal generation to understand what basically lies behind the infrastructure, behind the technology, what the infrastructure is like, talk about the roadmap, about the project and the team. So welcome everyone. And before we start with the session, we would like you to take us through a very quick, very brief introduction of your role. So starting with Humayun, who is the CEO of Fetch.ai project. If you can just take us with a very quick introduction here.
Yeah, sure. It's a pleasure to be here, guys. Thank you for inviting. My background is in commodity trading and machine learning and AI as an investor and as an entrepreneur. So I have worked for the last 15 years working in physical commodities, working with some algorithmic trading on commodities, and investing in machine learning and AI projects, gaming companies, and one of my favorite ones is always Google DeepMind, which sold to Google 5 years ago. I was one of the primary investors, founding investors, or what do you want to call it, seed investors in the company, and I was looking after the commercialization of machine learning and AI. That's my background.
Thank you, Humayun. That's a really diverse, and we are really glad to have you here on our session on the block. And not wasting any time further, let's move on to Toby, who is the CEO and co-founder at Fetch.ai. So Toby, if you can just quickly take us through a quick brief introduction.
Hi, yes. So I'm co-founder of Fetch, and also have a background that includes AI, artificial life, and computer games. One of the things I got very interested in is using metaphors from biology to try and create intelligent systems, particularly in games, all the non-player characters, to try and make them act more real. And that's what introduced me to this agent-based approach, that if you break a big problem down into lots of little things, you can get those little things to work together to solve grand problems without having to specify them. And I thought this was extremely exciting and a great way of managing very large-scale worlds, but also a great way of solving some of the really big problems that we have right now, like in supply chains and mobility and hospitality, that you could give little responsibilities to a lot of things so that they can work together to solve it. I also spent time at DeepMind. I was head of software there, looking at bringing some of that kind of approach to their very exciting journey to more intelligent systems.
Thank you, Toby. Thank you. Delighted to have you here. And I hope like your experimentation with biology and AI, that day might not be far when we will have a living android moving on our planet along
Getting
with all the
closer
blocks
all the time.
Great to have you here, Toby. So moving next to John. John is the CTO at Fetch.ai. John, please take us through a brief, quick introduction.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. Yeah, so I've got a background in machine learning and complex systems, both in academia and industry. Really love the opportunity to kind of combine these technologies in different ways. Really excited to have all of these modular components, which might be from the blockchain space, the crypto kind of primitives, as well as the kind of game theory primitives, as well as the distributed computing primitives. Really exciting time and really exciting things that we can do by combining these technologies.
Thank you, John. It is our pleasure to have you here. And now moving on to the next guest, Maria, who is the Director of Business Development at Fetch.ai. Maria, can you please quickly take us through a brief introduction?
Yes. Hello, everybody. It's great to be with you guys today. I'm leading the business development activities at Fetch that involves working with our partners, our industrial partners, with partners in academia, and also with regulators and policymakers. That those are really important parties to all be involved with, and to really try to explain these new technologies that we're working on, how blockchain works, and not only blockchain. We have the additional challenge of to explain how AI and blockchain together can work on providing new solutions and really bringing these new innovations to life. I have a really extensive background in deployment of software technologies. I used to work for Oracle for many years, working in different parts of the world on developing and deploying software solutions, working with the customers, understanding their needs, and then providing them with solutions that will improve their working lives and lives in general. So I'm really super excited. Fetch is bringing really cool stuff together, bringing AI and blockchain together to the real world and solving real world problems.
Right. Yes. Nice to have you, Maria, here. We are delighted. So begin with, or before we even begin, I would like to just say thanks you to all of you to grace us with your presence here at CoinDCX. We are really looking forward to collaborate and to work with projects and to introduce projects to our community. Who are actually working on some groundbreaking on groundbreaking solutions in the blockchain industry. And just to take everybody through a very quick introduction about the Fetch project from our end. So as all of you must be hearing that, all the team members, be it from the CEO to right down to the director of business development at Fetch.ai, everybody had a very interesting past and an interesting history related to the blockchain, to the technology in the field of AI, in the field of mechanical learning. So Fetch is a platform that aims to connect all of these moving parts, be it the Internet of Things, algorithms, collective learning, into one combined aspect, into one combined platform, and deliver on top of that. So before we start with the session, I will just request the audience here and the participants to feel free to drop us any questions that you may have, any question that you will feel like that you want to ask to the team, to go get to know about the team member or to get to know about the project. And we will be constantly monitoring the chat, and we'll pick up your questions from there, which will be answered at the end of the session. So let's start with the session. And to begin with the session, we would like to hear from you all in a very short brief that what do you feel, or what, in your terms, what is Fetch.ai? What is the Fetch project? So Humayun, we can start with you.
Right. So in very simplistic terms, Fetch is enabling multiple stakeholders, multiple parties, multiple entities to interact with each other directly and in the easiest way you can without an intermediary in the middle. So if you think about how we do business today, giving you an example, if you want to book a taxi, book a room in a hotel, or do anything, you have to go through a centralized aggregator. So in case of hotels, you have to go through, let's say, booking.com, expedia.com. In case of taxis, you have to go through Airbnb or Careem or any of the others. What we are enabling is that you can connect directly as a user, consumer, to your supplier without the need of these intermediary businesses. So you don't have to have this huge overhead which sits in the middle, and you can connect with each other. Now, in that middle, you also have payment systems which also sit there, which blockchain solves. There is a search and discovery for the likes of Google. How do you find these services? So we take all of that out of the system and we connect the agents to each other. That's what we do in Fetch.
Right. Toby, would you like to add something?
Yeah. It's about this modularity you get with a multi-agent approach. That instead of building one monolithic centralized system that solves a problem directly, you put in place lots of little things that can solve the problem by working together. And that also means that you can take that apart and reassemble it in different ways. So you've sort of got an economic Lego, for want of a better phrase. And I think it's very interesting. I've seen some of the questions popping up talking about things like zero knowledge proofs. And actually, what's really happened when it comes to disintermediating these big centralized businesses is that all of the technologies that we need to be able to achieve this now exist. So things like verifiable credentials exist. Fetch's multi-agent approach exists. Blockchain and other cryptographic technologies for encryption and signing and other bits and pieces. So we've just ended up in this wonderful position where all the ingredients you need to bake this sort of perfect cake are all there at once. And I think that's what's really exciting about the timing of what it is that we're doing. That these things that Hermione was talking about, such as ride hailing and solving mobility problems and getting you from one place to the other and back again safely, we've now built the technology that can deliver this. And all of this is about making your life better. And I think you touched on this at the beginning when you talked about blockchain being a very complex thing, particularly to people who've not been involved before. And good technology, you don't notice. It's just there, solving your problems behind the scenes, making life better. And that's one of the things that we want to bring, that maybe the first time people have Fetch helping their lives, they may not even notice it's happened.
Exactly, absolutely. And as you mentioned, that even the timing is perfect, as in the blockchain technology in itself has matured to that particular point. And not just blockchain, be it IoT, be it algorithms, be it the AI aspect of the business. So everything is coming together now, and it is a perfect timing for Fetch.ai to capitalize on that and to work and to bring everything together into a one single platform. A perfectly baked cake, as you mentioned. So, John, would you like to add anything to this?
Yeah, I think Toby and Hermione have gone into a lot of detail on the given a very extensive explanation of the vision. I think what I wanted to do was maybe give a sort of concrete example. So one thing and it's also reflected in some of the questions we've got. So one thing you find a lot in DeFi is that a lot of things are happening on chain, and potentially you're having to manage a lot of complexity. So one of the things that the agents can do on your behalf is that they can monitor the state of the blockchain and then take actions on your behalf. So one of the use cases might be, you have some funds in a liquidity pool that you want to make sure that, you're protected against impermanent loss or a rug pull. So if one of the tokens falls in value substantially, what your agent will then do is return your tokens back to you. That's one possible application. Another one might be in mediating cross-chain transfers. There are obviously many other DeFi applications that you can potentially apply agents to. So that's the sort of thing that we're going to be releasing very soon, and the sort of things that all of the people watching can use and deploy in the real world. The other thing I would say is that we've built really generic tools for building protocols. So whether that's Oracle networks, or whether that's cross-chain scaling solutions, or whether it's state channels, you can essentially build those things with agents. So agents kind of generalize all of those protocols and enable you to combine them together. So what I think I'd say to the developers in the audience is take a look at us, because there's lots of really exciting things that you can build with the kind of primitives we built.
Right, exactly, absolutely. So thank you for that, for the very humble introduction to the Fetch project. Now, moving on to the next question, would like to ask you that would you guys like to touch upon the underlying technology and the framework behind Fetch.ai?
Sure. I think it's
John?
the best suited for John to start with.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll say there's kind of three layers. So the first layer is the core blockchain network, And what we are is we're very much part of the Cosmos ecosystem. So what that means is that we have token interoperability with many other chains. So there are lots of great blockchains out there. Just to name a few, well, Ethereum is obviously a brilliant blockchain, great ecosystem with brilliant developers. There are other great projects coming through like Solana. And what we really want to do is be able to provide agent-based services wherever they're needed. And one of the things to bear in mind is that there are definitely trade-offs in building these different tools. So what we want to be able to do is to be able to deploy our agents wherever they're useful. The second thing is that we have our own network, and the reason we have our own network is that we want to be able to provide the kind of support for different agent applications. So whether that's staking, whether that's reputation, whether that's identity or governance, the things that Toby's were talking about, those are the things that you only need our chain for, effectively. And then the third layer is that we have a collection of really exciting applications that you can build with the technology. So as Amine was saying, there's a huge number of different things you could do with this. And just what we're really conscious of is that it takes a while to actually train people up into this new way of thinking. So what we're doing is planning on launching other projects that use the core technology and really can hopefully inspire people on what it can be used for. And I guess I'll just leave Hermione to actually answer what those things might be and what the plans are there.
Cool. I think there is another question, coming on the future plan, so I'll deal with that when, yeah.
Right. So as John mentioned about having the own chain and having the agents, I went through the website and I was looking into your project and I saw this agent specific use case really interesting. So we are seeing some interesting use cases and application of your project. So please take us briefly through some interesting use cases. Toby.
Yeah, just to follow up on something that John was saying, I guess that having our own ledger is about having the most perfect home for agents that you can possibly have, so that in order for agents to get anything done, they've got to be able to find each other, they've got to be able to talk to each other, they've got to be able to negotiate, and they've got to be able to exchange value. And this is what's led us to some of the very interesting use cases that we're working on at the moment. And Maria can certainly go into some more detail on this too. Things relating to hospitality, where you're trying to ensure that you're connecting somebody to the most optimal thing that they need given their personal preferences, but also protecting their privacy. And I guess that's one of the advantages that you can get from this decentralized approach, that your agent that represents you, that understands you, belongs to you and exists on your device. And it goes out there and talks to people knowing all sorts of information, none of which it has to disclose. So that's kind of exciting too, but it also means that it's a much more personal experience for you. And as a human being, you don't have to work your way through 15 different user experiences in order to be able to attach yourself to a very wide range of things. And then certainly something else that Maria will go into more detail on is the work that we're doing in supply chains. And these are great examples of very complex problems with large numbers of moving parts. And if you attach an agent to all of them, then given the technology that we've got, they can get together and solve these problems, but much more importantly, on a hyper-local basis. So, and that, if we continue to learn, particularly last year and this year so far, things change, and they can change real fast. And the larger, much in the same way that you wouldn't take the Titanic whitewater rafting, it's just not flexible enough to get around the corners and adapt fast enough. You need something that's nimble. You need something that can adapt without waiting for a huge chain of command to feedback. And that's the kind of areas where we've had an enormous amount of success in deploying this technology. And also, of course, the work we've been doing with Dejarello and parking in Munich. Maria, do you want to go into a little bit more detail on some of those things?
Yes, of course. So, so the advantage of so the subset of AI that we're working with is called multi-agent systems, as has been mentioned. And the advantage is that you actually don't need a centralized. You don't have to have, or you shouldn't have a centralized entity to control all these different agents. And so that's the huge difference between what we see in platforms now, where you have platforms that control, the users, control what kind of listing you see, and the infrastructure that we're building. So Fetch will, we don't call them Fetch agents. There can be your agents, anybody else's agents, and Fetch doesn't control them. You control them. The users control them, and that's a really good combination with the blockchain, because blockchain is also decentralized. So this allows really multi-stakeholder engagement. So where there is no central entity, no central platform collecting your data, giving you orders, or telling you what kind of business model you need to have, right? So you can design that yourself. And as you can see, with our really great announcements of our partnerships, also large corporates, large companies understand the need for decentralization, and they have contacted us. We have been working with them, for example, Festo on supply chain, where we're building a decentralized manufacturing marketplace that will allow anybody to participate in it. Anybody can come and be part of this ecosystem, and will be able to benefit from them. And there will be no central authority that will be commanding the business models, commanding, how things are organized. So this is really the advantage of the multi-agent systems in combination with the blockchain. And of course, then we have, as Toby mentioned, some really other interesting projects in Munich, in Germany, with our great partners, Datarella. And again, we're optimizing parking systems. So everybody, I think, has a really, experience when you try to find a parking lot. It's hopeless because you don't know the situation. You come up somewhere to a parking place, and then you just try to find a free parking space. What if there was a system that was representing the parking spaces, and your car could then communicate with this system, with these parking spaces directly, book you the preferred parking place? You can have dynamic pricing. You can price the parking lots that are closer to the destination. They can be more expensive. You can incentivize people to park a bit further away. And then by providing a really good visibility of what and where the free parking places are, you're decreasing the time that you need to drive to the parking place, and you're also decreasing CO2 emission. I think that's really important factor as well, because we're all trying to have a better, greener environment, and so you need a good optimization of that. And this is what the multi-agent systems are really great for. To optimize the ecosystems, to help, with the efficiency, and to really drive that forward.
They make better use of the resources that we have, and I think that's a really key thing. And you could potentially optimize congestion to a degree out of the traffic system. And again, with parking, if you understand the context which your agent might, some of these big parking lots, you've got 3 or 4 exits from them. Why doesn't it place you at the one where the exit pops you straight into the restaurant that you want? Perfect.
But let's talk about India, where you can actually find road would be quite interesting. Forget about parking. So I think let's not forget that side of story.
But you can also monetize. Sorry to jump in. No, I was just going to say you can also monetize your parking space. You can join this ecosystem and start your own maybe a business. Monetizing the different assets that are available. You have a solar panel. Why don't you can sell your energy, and so on. So there will be really new opportunities that are coming out, and with these new technologies, and we're really in a great place to provide these technological solutions.
Interesting. That's a lot for our audience to even process in terms of the application and the use cases. And Humayu, it was really interesting as you mentioned in between that, what about the India, wherein, you have the entire road, because in order even to connect with the parking lot situation and to understand that process in itself, I was thinking about like the process, like the actual process that goes behind that, Yes, it is true, as Maya pointed out, that, even just to find a simple spot, it can take you hours just to figure out where to park your car properly. And having an autonomous, personalized agent which can identify that can help you not just save your own time and make it hassle free. It can also, as you guys mentioned, it can save on to the CO2 emission, which can actually help like the environment and help on saving resources as well. So Maria, just continuing on the same front, or like just to understand from your point of view, what are the some key areas you will be focusing on from a business development point of view?
So as it was mentioned, we have some really interesting opportunities in the travel space. So travel agents, building on our previous work that we have announced. That's super exciting. Some potential partnerships forming up there as well, but really a lot of interest. Also in the parking or in the mobility space in general, we can see a lot of potential, a lot of interest in different parts of the world, even in different continents. So we're not necessarily focusing. We have partnerships announced in Europe, in Germany, but we're working with others from around the globe as well. So some others potentially in your part of the world as well. So places like or industries or places where you can have multi-stakeholder ecosystems, so mobility, travel, supply chain, and decentralized marketplaces, really. So anything can be can have a representation of an agent and can be provided in a marketplace. So eventually also data can be
there is also DeFi space where you have no boundaries. So we're launching, as John was mentioning, we're launching multiple agents, different types of agents, which do different types of DeFi-based services for its clients. So you can actually train them. It actually learns itself. But initially, the whole objective here is to improve interoperability using agents and doing multiple tasks, which cannot be automated at the moment in the DeFi space. And that's quite an interesting space, which has got a lot of quick adoption, and it's easy to access, and there is a huge commercial opportunity there. So we have short-term commercial deployment happening as we speak in DeFi space. We have medium-term happening more in travel space, in the mobility space. But then you have a much longer term where you have smart cities and you're dealing with a lot more infrastructure-based deployment. So we're looking at all three of those at any one time.
Interesting. So we talked about personalization of these agents. We talked about the application, various application in the travel industry, in the DeFi industry, in the hospitality industry, and else. So is there anything that you guys like, Jonathan, this is specifically towards you, I'm pointing it, as in anything else that you might feel that we are missing out when it comes to the core utility of the token, or anything that you want to add upon that?
Yeah, I think those are obviously very big, some very big areas, and I think what we want the FET token to do is effectively underpin all of them, in the sense that there are certain things that are common to all of them, which is that you're going to need token interoperability. You're going to need to potentially be able to search and find other agents. You're going to want to communicate with those agents with well-defined protocols. You're going to want them to be secure, so they're going to want to do key management. So effectively, what we want to do is kind of build the core infrastructure, which is around the FET token itself. And I think one thing that we have to do is that a difficult problem is to go from providing very, very simple services to these much more complicated ones. So, and that's the real reason that we like DeFi. Obviously DeFi is hugely exciting. The chance to kind of decentralize the whole financial system we definitely want to be part of that. It's exciting in its own right. But what's also great is that it's contained. It's contained within the blockchain. So we don't need to worry about regulation. We don't need to worry about existing incumbent parties who are already present there. We can just go ahead and do things. But we want to do things in a really informative and careful way. So these agents are managing your tokens in a non-custodial way. So they don't actually hold the tokens, they just hold the management or the movement of the tokens. So what we're really interested in is building those primitives. We're going to make those things available to the community so that people can use them without necessarily being a developer. And then the intention is that developers can then come in, see what we've done, and then take that and then take the ecosystem forward in their own way.
Exciting. That is quite exciting, and thank you for taking us through that. That is really insightful, and I will urge the audience to dig deeper onto that and bombard your Telegram community with more questions on that, so that they get to understand the core utility upfront and experience that. So that is a really interesting use cases as you took us through. Now I would like to know from you, Humayun, what is the best way to engage or to start with the Fetch community? Somebody is looking forward to that.
Yeah, so we have multiple channels. We have, if you just want to have a chat, Telegram is your good starting point. If you want to have a bit more involved chat, Discord is a better channel. If you just want to have one-sided information, then our website has huge amounts of information. If you're a developer, we have developer channel, we have Slack channel, we have Discord developer channel, and our website, the developer website, has huge amounts of information. You can read it, you can deploy it, you can actually play with it, you can build your agents, you can deploy the solutions, you can become a validator. All of that is supported by our developers whenever they get the chance, but also a marketing team. Maria actually looks after quite a substantial amount of that marketing team. We're always try to respond very quickly. So if you have any kind of questions, a good start would be a Telegram channel.
I just wanted to add to that. So on our website, there's a number of use cases, and they have really great videos as well that some go into really good detail. Some are really just high level to make it really simple to understand. So I'd really encourage everybody to come to our website, look at the use cases page. There's explanation also about the token. How does the token work? How the token is necessary to be utilized in all of these in the whole ecosystem, as John has mentioned before. And so really encourage you to come. There's lots about architecture, about the roadmap as well. So come to our website and you'll find, I would say, most of the information that you need.
And certainly those interested in starting with developing, particularly developing agents, the website at docs.fetch.ai is extensive details on how you get started. And we are constantly improving that based on feedback from people who've built agents. So if you're going through that and you've got some thoughts, then please do let us know. Discord's a fantastic place for that. We've been making changes every single release. And we actually released version 1 of our agent framework yesterday after, 54 individual releases to get to that point, which we're very, very proud of. Because now, for the first time, everything is in place for you to be able to put together these agents. And thanks to our agent registry, a lot of that hard work to get started is actually just assembling lots of bits and pieces that people have already created. So that's pretty cool as well, because it means you can get an agent running very fast indeed. And we're always making that better.
Yeah, the one thing I would also add, it's a small thing. So anybody who's really excited about machine learning and AI, there's lots of it on our developer docs channel. There's lots of really exciting things on there. And what I would say is there's lots of things happening in AI, but what you should always be have in your mind if you're a young person getting into the space is really where it's going next. And I think there's lots of pointers to where the field is going next on the developer docs. So especially if you're a student or you're interested in getting technical person interested in getting into this, definitely check out our developer channel, developer docs.
All right, so guys, Telegram, Discord, website, and docs, as mentioned by the team. Do check them out. I did go through the website myself as well, and yes, there is a lot of extensive information there. I did got a pretty bit overwhelmed with the information that was there, but you guys have simplified it quite a lot when you talked about the use cases and the agents and everything on this session here. So really grateful to you guys for that. Now just question that comes up, I believe this will come up to everybody mind as well. Like now, as the project is live and everything is in place, as you guys pointed out, how is the road ahead looks like? What is the road ahead looks like as per you guys?
I can take that. I'll give you an overview, and then everybody can give you the details. The project, we have only done one step towards our journey. So the version 2 release of mainnet, version 1 release of the agent framework, these are only initial steps. Our vision is quite dramatic. We are looking to change the way how e-commerce works at the moment, and bringing not just doing that, but also bringing in this decentralization and crypto utility into this whole space. So it's not a small task by any means. It's not an easy task either, but it's a much more kind of game-changing task that we have taken ourselves on. And so the next steps going in the short term and a medium term, we're looking at, in the short term, we will be deploying these commercial solutions. So you'll see a lot simpler, easier solutions going out into the DeFi space. You'll see in the medium term, you'll see market adoption happening in the travel space, in some bits in the mobility space. You'll also see quite a few changes in the machine learning and AI space, and decentralization will play a very important part in that, because as you've all seen, data is data privacy and sharing, and who benefits or profits from your data is a big issue at the moment. So medium to long term, we're tackling that. And in the kind of more distant future, what we're seeing here is that the e-commerce space, the way Web 2.0 works and Web 3.0 works, will evolve. That will change, and it will change into a lot more active interactions, which agents are capable of doing. Dumb websites and these days of these intermediaries will start to shrink, and will kind of bring new e-commerce models online. So that's our ultimate long-term objective. So, and you guys can add.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's one of the exciting things of arriving where we've arrived in the last 48 hours, with mainnet version 2 launching yesterday and the agent framework version 1 launching the day before. Now we're in a position that all of the applications and all of the things that we ever dreamt of doing are now completely possible as full-scale real-world deployments, and then that's really exciting. And I guess with when it comes to roadmaps and going forwards, that to a certain degree changes the focus to ensuring that that experience of building these things, be it in collective learning or multi-agent systems or a combination of all of these things, is as beautiful and as easy and as supported as it can possibly be. And I think that's one of the things I'm looking forward to seeing in the coming months, watching all of this wonderful stuff that we've released become increasingly refined and been able to be put in a position where people can build all of these exciting things.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm always going to talk about the more concrete things. So yeah, I mean, I think we've obviously launched Ledger today, but we've got a big plan for improving that and making that more performant, more useful, providing more services for agents. Really excited about providing applications that people can actually use the Fetch token for. Integrating that with other DeFi projects, integrating our tools and our technologies with other chains. And then on the we've got a really exciting prospects in terms of actually all of these sort of things that we talk about on a high level and talk about the future. We're reaching that level of maturity in terms of the core technology. The world is reaching the maturity in terms of accepting how valuable these tools and technologies are, the regulations coming on board. So I think it's going to be a super exciting year as we start to actually see the kind of the fruits of all of this labor, really. All of the work starts to pay off in terms of these things being genuinely useful. So I think that's what I'm looking forward to in the next year as well. So
great. So Maria, would you like to touch upon something on that?
No, I think everybody has covered it. So I think this is really super exciting year. It already started in January. The whole space is just moving so fast, and there's so much going on. Everybody's now coming out with these new projects, even though they have been working on that, but everybody was a bit more careful. So you see so much going on in the space, and we're really in the great position. We can provide so much to the community. These new technologies are very unique. So we're really in a great place to be. I would encourage everybody to look at our website, but also developers really to go and try our tools. They're really super helpful. The combination of AI and blockchain is really super, super exciting. We're not just focusing on blockchain, or we're not just focusing on AI, but we're really bringing these two transformational technologies together. So to me, that's the most exciting part, and the world is waiting for that. So there's more and more acceptance, and really people are ready to look at the developments and try it out themselves. People and companies, academics, everybody's looking into this space, and it's super exciting.
Absolutely. As Humayun mentioned that, this is just the first step. So there is a long road ahead, and a lot needs to be done and achieved. But being said that, it is the perfect time for the blockchain and the AI industry to come together. And that combination, like that merge, will only make this entire ecosystem come alive, become a thing of its own. So that's the beauty of it. Now, would just like to take a moment here and thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone on the Fetch team for taking us through this great insights into the project, opening up on the project end, taking us through what's the road ahead is like, what's the plan is like, and how the project looks, how the project is gonna look in the upcoming year, and so to move forward on the session from here. We'll now quickly open up channel for the community questions, and we'll start picking up the questions from the community, as a lot of queries have come in. So I'm sure you guys will be pretty thrilled about the same as well while answering them. So to start with, first question that we have received from the community, it is from a user named Mosef, and the question is, what is the main way community can get involved with Fed ecosystem when it comes to oracles or stop loss agents? Like, how simple would it be for less technical individuals? I guess this question is for John or any of you can pick it up.
Yeah, so I think the plan is that we initially it will be an application, so people can who aren't technical at all can use it, and then what we'll do is obviously we'll publish details on the smart contracts and how it's implemented and how the security works, and then the goal would be that we'll then provide the kind of hooks and support that will enable you to run those kind of agents yourself, or other providers can also launch the agents. So I'd say that's the rough time frame. What I would say to people who are interested in getting involved in this and potentially pushing it forward is we've got really cool docs on agent-based systems. So there's lots of tutorials on how to build an agent. So just to give a very sort of high-level overview, what we have is essentially modular components that you can put together. So for an Oracle, one thing might be an API call, and then you have another element which is the agent itself, and it has to read the state of the world, check it's got enough funds, do stuff. And then you've got a final action kind of module, which then decides when the Oracle value needs to be updated. So, and then the nice thing is that once you've got these modular components, you can put them together into a multi-agent system that solves that. So what I would say to developers who are interested, take a look at our website, get an idea on what's going on that side. On the sort of consumer side, we're going to try and get a community of users, population of people who really understand what it's for, what the benefits are, and then we'll try and bring those things together. And again, like I said before, provide the support on the blockchain in terms of staking contracts, in terms of reputation, that make everything fit together, really. So I think for consumers, there'll be something coming soon. For developers, please go to the website. There's plenty coming and plenty to learn.
Great. Rhea, would you like to add anything?
No, there's like John said, there will be actually information coming out very soon. We're aiming to make this user friendly, so it can be used by anybody in the community. You don't have to be a developer to use these DeFi agents. So just stay tuned, and soon you will know a lot more.
That applies to any kind of agent as well, with the with the user interface, and also now we've got a little iOS app that you can get, which allows you to deploy and configure a very simple agent yourself, and then see it pop up in the agent metaverse so that it can be seen by other agents. And that's kind of cool, because you don't need to be a developer to play around and get used to how this kind of stuff works. And that kind of technology is only going to get better. You're going to be able to do more and more and more without writing a line of code, just by dragging and dropping and selecting things and configuring and letting these agents out into the world. And that means that more people can engage with it and see the kind of things that can be done.
It's called SOEF Explorer, right, Toby?
Yeah. Well, SOEF Viewer, I believe.
SOEF Viewer. Look it up in the App Store, and have a go. Create your own agent, and send us a video, of your first agent, what it's doing, where it's going. There will be more on that again soon.
We're also plenty of videos, so you guys will be able to just watch a video and work out what to do and how to do it.
Yeah, we're preparing a lot of tutorials, so there's a lot of preparation in the background, and that's we're constantly working on these improvements and how to make it easier for the users to use as well. So a lot of tutorials, a lot of new videos will be coming out. Really cool stuff.
Awesome. So guys, the Fetch team got you covered. Need not to worry. Even if you are a non-technical guy, you will still be able to use such a complicated blockchain. So we got you covered on that. So moving on to the next one. This is from a user named Tishnur, Tishnur1. So this question is for, I believe, Maria, this question will be fitting for you. As in, where do you see the first real-life implementation besides test trials on blockchain based on your development framework?
The real life, as Humayun mentioned, the short term is in DeFi. There's a lot going on in that space. We are getting ready. We're creating these new agents to be deployed really very soon. We will be announcing beta trials so people can come and register their interest with us, and they will be able to test it super soon. The midterm is, looking at, for example, our collaboration with Festo. There was a really interesting crowdcast, online webinar where they were describing how they would like to. So this is a regular, this is a large corporate, how they would actually like to use it and why they're interested in decentralization, in setting up marketplaces with their customers and suppliers. So different areas, everybody can get involved, from people to organizations. Various users will be able to use our technology very soon.
As you mentioned about the implementation in the DeFi sector, so just continuing to that piece only, uh, and anybody can answer this one. What do you think is the critical problem you faced in the like anybody faces in the blockchain industry today? And why do we need a DeFi or NFT solution on the blockchain?
Yeah, I think I'll start with a quick answer for that. Why do we need decentralization, really? And then I think one of the most important things here is infrastructure cost and also barrier to entry for all of this space. I think that's really the key here. So if you look at more, kind of developing nations, you look at where there is no infrastructure, and even when you look at the developed countries where there is infrastructure, what is clear is that as technology has moved on, the infrastructure is still where it's behind. It's behind by many years. And where there is no infrastructure, you look for the most efficient and easy deployment with the lowest barrier to entry. So DeFi actually enables you. It gives access to everybody, who even to unbanked. It gives the ability to actually play a part in the financial space, play a part in the financial sector. So that's why I think DeFi is something which I support quite heavily, and I think it's going to definitely make its mark over the next few years. NFT is a different, perhaps a little bit more exotic thing at this point in time, but that would change, because you could create NFTs like for subscriptions. You can create NFTs for very specific items. At the moment, I think for adoption, it's kind of hitting the collectibles, arts, and all the gaming collectible space, but that will change again. And I think we've got another project coming called Atomics, which Fetch team is releasing. We're using NFTs to give lend to masses, where we can create an NFT based on an asset that you can borrow against. So that's quite an important part of the NFT space, which we have not seen yet, but it's coming.
Interesting. That is a very different or a unique angle that you have given it to the NFT segment in itself. As you mentioned that, like in today's time, most of the people, when we talk about NFT, it is about the artwork and the collectibles, but that soon will change. It can be subscription based, it can be other things as well which can run on NFT. So a really interesting insight on that. Thank you for that. And this question was asked by our community member by the name of Kuldeep Thakur. So thank you for answering. Thank you for taking that up, Humayun. And moving further from here, John, I believe this question might best be suited to you. It is from Steve Gogo. Is it possible to stake in the mainnet at the moment and delegate in one of the validators? And if so, how many more validators should we await?
So yes, it is possible to delegate stake on the mainnet. We are currently just working. So the team, the bridge closed around the launch of the mainnet, just while we settle everything down. So I think we will reopen the bridge probably first thing next week. Give the engineers a bit of time off, because they've been very busy with mainnet. And then at that point, you'll be able to move your ERC20 tokens across to mainnet. And yeah, delegate your tokens to a validator and earn really great rewards, while also enjoying much lower transaction fees than you get on Ethereum. So you'll have an additional initial high transaction fee from Ethereum, but from the moment you're in the Fetch ecosystem, things will be much cheaper, a much easier user experience. And yeah, the plan is that future token allocations and things like that will all be carried out on mainnet, where people from all over the world, not necessarily holding huge amounts of tokens, can also take part and benefit from the kind of things we're doing.
Awesome, awesome, great. Thank you for taking that through, John. And let's move on quickly to the last question for the session. And I guess, Toby, that this question might be suited best for you, as we talked about the Sophie app on iOS. You talked about that. So is there any plan? Because the user seems pretty interested, like the community seems pretty interested to test it out by themselves. Any plans on a date to release the Sophie app on Android?
Yes. So can't commit to a firm date on that one, but we understand the community wants it. So that's something we're definitely going to solve, and certainly something that we're looking at. So Android owners will not be left out, except at the moment, obviously, but we will fix that.
Perfect. I guess, yeah, that sums it up pretty well. So thanks a lot, everyone, to be a part of this session, and especially Humayun, Maria, John, Toby. Thank you. We have been really great. We are really grateful that you have graced us with your presence here and took us through the insights about Fetch.ai and what a wonderful project it is. We are really excited to see how it pans out in the upcoming years and the road ahead. And just a quick shout out to all the community members who have sent us their questions. And we are extremely sorry if we are not able to pick up all the questions from your end, but we will definitely try and answer some of them on the Telegram channel as well.
There is one question which I'd like to answer. It was a question based on why do I like to work in a dirty office? It's not dirty, it's just small. I spend all my time working. I don't want to spend money on the offices. We spend time on Fetch, so we don't spend time on offices. So just to make that point.
Let the hard work make the noise, not the environment.
Exactly. The office. Thank you.
Right. So yeah, just the last, just a quick shout out to all the community members. You can check out the Fetch website. We have the link in the description below. And to all the winners whose questions have been selected, please fill out the form, which is available in the description below, for us to take the process forward. So please do not forget to fill out the form, which is there in the description below. And please do check out the Fetch website. So guys, thank you for this session. Thank you for being here. It was really a wonderful insight from you all. And we are definitely looking forward to come up with another session or do something much more inclusive for the community going forward. Thank you. Thank you for all.
Thank you, Akshay. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. See you guys.